deliver the mark to us alive, you get your life back.
We have a big problem. There isn't a country in the Western Hemisphere that doesn't have a bounty on the ghost's head.
Are you telling me that plane is full of killers?
All rise. The Court of Cinematic Justice is now in session. The Honorable Judge presiding over the case of the People versus Fight or Flight 2025.
You may be seated. We're here today to determine whether Fight or Flight deserves the public's time and money. Prosecution, please present your case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the film before us today, Fight or Flight, stands accused of several serious cinematic offenses. Firstly, first-degree reliance on genre cliches and predictable plot developments. Secondly, criminal waste of Katie Sackhoff's talents in an unnecessary subplot. Thirdly, felony plot interruption by cutting away from engaging action sequences. Lastly, there is the brazen impersonation of superior films like John Wick, Bullet Train, and Smoking Aces. The prosecution will prove that while the defendant may entertain momentarily, it ultimately fails to leave a lasting impression worthy of a theatrical release. Thank you.
Your Honor, esteemed members of the jury, my client, Fight or Flight, never claimed to reinvent cinema. It stands before you as what it truly is. An outrageously entertaining R-rated action vehicle that delivers exactly what it promises. Limbs flying in every direction, creative weaponry, and a blonde Josh Hartnett screaming down an airplane aisle ready to take on all comers. We will demonstrate that this film excels at its primary purpose, providing high-octane entertainment within the confined spaces of an aircraft thousands of feet in the air, and does so with style, intensity, and moments of genuine creativity.
Prosecution, call your first witness.
I call to the stand the film's ground subplot. Ground subplot. Would you please explain your purpose in this film?
Well, I'm there to provide context for the mission and show what's happening with Katie Sackhoff's character while all the action is on the plane.
And would you say you add significant value to the overall narrative?
I give background information that...
Let me be more direct. Do viewers care about you when you interrupt the thrilling airplane sequences?
According to the testimony, no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense, your witness.
No. Questions for this witness, Your Honor.
The prosecution calls originality to the stand. Originality. How would you describe your relationship with Fight or Flight?
Complicated. The premise isn't something we've never seen before. The protagonist with one last job to clear his past. The moral conundrum that's more than meets the eye. We've seen these elements 1,000 times.
Would you say there's anything genuinely innovative about this film?
The execution has some bright spots, but narrative-wise, it's treading familiar ground.
Thank you. No further question.
Defense?
Originality? Isn't it true that even great films often use familiar tropes but execute them well? Yes, that's fair. And doesn't Fight or Flight combine these elements in an entertaining package with its airplane setting and escalating madness? I suppose it does have its moments of creative violence and setting utilization. Thank you. No further questions.
Defense. Present. Your case.
I call Josh Hartnett's performance to the stand. How would you describe your presence in this film? I deliver a memorable and insane character who maintains control even while slightly inebriated at the start. I find creative ways to take down enemies and handle the physical demands of the role convincingly. And would you say you helped elevate the material? Absolutely. People specifically mentions wanting to see me in more roles like this. Thank you. I now call action sequences to the stand. Please describe yourself for the court. I'm intense, creative, and R-rated. I utilize the confined airplane space in interesting ways, turning everyday items into weapons. The camera movement showcases both foreground and background action simultaneously, creating a sense of chaos and madness that's entertaining to watch. Would you say you're a strength of this film? Definitely. People describe me as delivering and mentions limbs going in every direction, creative use of everyday plane items as weapons, and an outrageously entertaining quality. No further questions.
Action sequences. Isn't it true that other films like John, Wick, and Bullet Train have done what you do, but with more narrative purpose?
They may have more complex plots, but
A simple yes or no will suffice.
yes.
No further questions.
Prosecution, your closing statement.
Your Honor, members of the jury, the evidence is clear. While Fight or Flight has moments of entertainment value, it fails to leave a lasting impression. It cuts away from its strengths to focus on subplots no one cares about. It's predictable, conventional, and ultimately forgettable compared to its contemporaries. The defendant's own people and friends calls it not one you have to go out to the theater and see, and describes it as merely something you may not regret watching. That's hardly a ringing endorsement. The prosecution rests.
Defense, your closing statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, not every film needs to reinvent cinema or provide deep, philosophical insights. Fight or Flight knows exactly what it is, an outrageously entertaining action movie that delivers precisely what fans of the genre desire. Josh Hartnett shines in a role that showcases his talents. The action sequences are creative and intense. The confined setting of an airplane creates unique challenges that the film turns into opportunities for memorable moments. Yes, you can. Turn your brain off and enjoy this movie, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes pure entertainment value is exactly what audiences need. The defense rests.
Having heard the arguments from both sides, this court finds Fight or Flight guilty of being formulaic and occasionally slow-paced. But the court recognizes substantial mitigating factors in Josh Hartnett's performance, the creative action, sequences, the musical score during fight scenes, and the overall entertainment value provided. Therefore, I sentence Fight or Flight to be watched on streaming services when viewers have free time and are in the mood for some over-the-top action that doesn't take itself too seriously. This court is adjourned.